Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. Today we're having a special called meeting, and that means that we will not be adding any items to the posted and published agenda. We may delete an item, but we won't add an item. So if you have a cell phone with you, I'd like to ask you to turn it to off or vibrate. And I'd like to ask you now to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I noticed as I spoke a moment ago that we've actually been able to upgrade the sound system in here. I had someone working on it from the past meeting, and I'm not sure what it sounds like on that side of the dais here, but on our side, we actually can hear ourselves. So we'll try not to have an echo, but I thank our Jay McDowell for working on that and trying to get it as good as it can possibly be. Also like to welcome back our regular fiscal court clerk, Sheila Fair, who was off for the last two meetings, and thank Tina Schaaf for taking your place. So nice to have you back. Sheila, you would like to call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Harrison. Here. Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon.
Here.
Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. I'll ask for the formal motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All right. There won't be any additions to the agenda since this is a special call meeting. I would like to ask that item F, the review of contract, pre-design, and cost estimate for an addition to the John Black Center, be deleted at this time. Hearing no other comments, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll have Sheila read the minutes from our last meeting, which was on August 20th.
August 20th, 2019. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Wayne Tice, Albert Harrison, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hound, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Magistrate Likens was absent. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve Tina Schaaf as Fiscal Court Clerk for today's meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The agenda was approved unanimously after removing bravura contract and adding MSD presentation discussion. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the meeting minutes from August 6th, correcting first motion listed on page 180 to state motion and second were withdrawn, and page 181, the date for Highway 1488 bridge closure is September 16th. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment. Leanne Comer, Oldham County Health Department, presented information about the County Challenge Walk scheduled for Saturday, September 7th at 9 a.m. on Commerce Parkway. Jerry Rankin, 1152 Peony Way in LaGrange, expressed concerns regarding incorrect addressing for his neighbors. Also requested a moment of silence and observation of Betty Moore's passing. Her husband, Wendell Moore, was Oldham County Judge Executive for multiple terms. The court observed a moment of silence. Tim Keel, Oldham County Dispatch Director, responded to Mr. Rankin's addressing concerns, stating the particular issue has been corrected. Statement of qualifications opening for Goshen Hills Drainage Project. The following statement of qualifications were opened: Civil Design, Heritage Engineering, Jacoby, Toombs and Lance, Caper and Associates, and SNME, Inc. Motion made by Magistrate Hound, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the payables. Motion carried unanimously. MSD presentation discussion. Tony Parrott, MSD Executive Director, Horace Herod, OSEA Chairman, and Stan Clark, Oldham County Fiscal Court Chief Financial Officer, presented due diligence findings and a memorandum of understanding regarding the possible acquisition of all of the assets and assumptions of certain liabilities of Oldham County Environmental Authority. Motion made by Magistrate Harrison and seconded by Magistrate Dye to authorize the Judge Executive to sign both the due diligence findings and the MOU as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Vogel requested to hear Special District's budget and tax rate presentation as the next item of business. Pee Wee Valley Fire Protection District. Chairman Joe Burkhart and Chief Bob Hamilton of Pee Wee Valley Fire Protection District presented the district's budget and fiscal year 1920 tax rate and responded to questions from the court. Oldham County Public Library. Jessica Powell, Director, Brittany Morse, Outreach Services, and Treasurer David Hutchinson presented the district's budget and fiscal year 1920 tax rate and responded to questions from the court. Oldham County Extension District. David Dybel, President, and Attorney John Solomon presented the district's budget and fiscal year 1920 tax rate. Extension agents Tracy Misson and Kelly Woods also presented information about the programs and services offered through the Extension District. Community Business. First reading, ordinance implementing a mitigation rate program. Emergency Management Director Jerry Nauert presented for first reading proposed ordinance KOC 19-310-174 relating to establishing and implementing a program to charge mitigation rates for the deployment of emergency and non-emergency services by responding agencies for services provided rendered for Oldham County. The second reading public hearing is scheduled for September 17th. Resolution for the mitigation recovery cost schedule. Jerry Nart presented a proposed resolution for a mitigation cost recovery schedule for responding agencies to be considered pending the adoption of Ordinance KOC 19-310-174. Contract agreements and resolutions. Resolution recognized dispatchers as first responders. Deputy Judge Executive Kevin Nuss presented a resolution recognizing the 911 telecommunicators as first responders and as being a part of the critical infrastructure of the public safety framework. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the resolution recognizing them as first responders. Motion carried 7-0-1. Magistrate Greenwell abstained. Committee recommendations and reports. 2020 litter abatement grant application. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the 2020 litter abatement grant application. Motion carried unanimously. Bid award for the Maintenance Building Metal Sheathing Project. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to award the bid for the Maintenance Building Metal Sheathing Project to Rotor Construction for $50,903. Motion carried unanimously. Board appointments and personnel. Stormwater Board. Motion made by Judge Executive Vogel and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to reappoint William Douglas to the Stormwater Board with a term to expire September 1st, 2023. Motion carried 7-1. Magistrate Harrison voted no. Planning Commission. Motion made by Judge Executive Vogel and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Bob Klingenfuss to the Planning Commission with a term to expire September 4th, 2023. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Judge Executive and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Ed Halfling to the Planning Commission with a term to expire September 4th, 2023. Motion carried unanimously. Police Department. Motion made by Judge Executive Vogel, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to hire Thomas Moore, Matt Lay, and Mike Head as school resource officers effective September 1st, contingent on approval from Kentucky Retirement, and to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the OCFC employment contracts as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment. David Hutchinson, 1005 Silver Bell Court, LaGrange, voiced support of the MSD Veolia acquisition. Announcements. Magistrate Tice stated further review has taken place on the proposed changes to the comprehensive zoning ordinance and proposed changes are forthcoming. Magistrate Harrison had the following announcements and comments. Reminder of the Oregon Creek Highway 1488 bridge closure scheduled to begin September 16th for 60 days. Dawkins Road will be closed from August 28th from 9 to 3 between Majestic Woods and Luther Luckett for cross-drain culvert installation. There is a severe thunderstorm alert in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. He would like to explore options for a supplemental sound system for the courtroom. Upcoming Military Day, August 29th, is U.S. Marine Corps birthday. Magistrate Greenwell followed up on Magistrate Tice's comments on the revisions to the comprehensive zoning ordinance, stating he is hoping to revise the language to require barrel houses only be permitted if accompanied by a working distillery. He also announced school started a week ago and all seems to be going smoothly. Magistrate Hounds reminded everyone to obey the speed limits in school zones and be aware of their surroundings. Magistrate Hawkins thanked the police officer who helped a gentleman who fell in the LaGrange car wash on August 5th. She also announced Rolling on the River Festival will be held September 7th at Schambach Park in Westport from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the boat ramp will be closed that day for safety reasons. Magistrate Dye also warned public about speeding in the subdivisions. Judge Executive Vogel announced the following. The red lights at Highway 53 and Highway 146 are functioning and stated people are not treating it as a stoplight and suggested LaGrange police increase enforcement. There will be a special meeting of Fiscal Court on Friday, August 30th at 1 p.m. to set the 2019 tax rate. Motion made by Judge Executive Vogel, seconded by Magistrate Greenwell, to cancel the regular scheduled meeting on September 3rd. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Executive Vogel mentioned again the passing of Betty Moore and stated visitation will be held Wednesday from 4 to 8, and the funeral services will be Thursday at 1 at Sligo Baptist Church. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting was adjourned at 4:40 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from August 20th. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
Corrections?
No, I have a correction.
Sir.
When I was announcing the military days at the end of the meeting, I misspoke. I said it was the 29th was a Marine Corps birthday. It's a Marine Corps Reserve birthday. The actual Marine Corps, thank you, Jerry Nart, comes up in November. We'll get to that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Abstain. Abstain.
One abstention? Magistrate wasn't at the last meeting. We heard Betty Moore's name mentioned a couple times in our minutes, and Judge Wendell Moore was county judge from approximately 1975 to, from 1974 to 1994, something like that, 20 years. He preceded an individual, or followed an individual named Jimmy Hall, who was county judge here for almost 40 years, almost an unimaginable number in today's time. And as it happens, I'm the sixth person in the last 80 years to hold this job. So that really seems kind of unusual, but that's just the way it is. So, Magistrate Harrison, at the last meeting you asked for a, let's say, a review of the sound system. Are you satisfied with what you're hearing today here?
Great. And my button's on it.
Right, good.
Wow.
All right. Right. We want everyone to hear clearly everything that is said. Now, we'll move on to the next part of our meeting here. It has to do with public comment. Is there anyone here who's come to address the fiscal court? We ask you to state your name and address, and you're very welcome to have up to 4 minutes.
Thank you, Judge Vogel. I'm Karen Greenwell, and I live just outside Ballersville, but I work for City Place here in LaGrange as the administrator. So I'm here this morning, and we've got a PowerPoint, or a little thing on the screen here that I think you all can see. Is that good? And I am here on behalf of City Place and the Rawlings Foundation to invite each of you all, Judge Vogel and Sheila, Mr. Carter, our magistrates, and all here, and those watching, to come to a free concert. This is in celebration of City Place's 5th anniversary of being open, and we are having the Louisville Orchestra conducted by Teddy Abrams on Friday evening, September the 6th, and that's going to be at 7:45 p.m. So we invite everyone to come. We're very excited about this. We plan to seat 1,500 people outside, so we need to fill every chair. So please come and enjoy a wonderful night of music. If it rains, we will be indoors. And last year we had a rain-in, and it was beautiful. I think, Judge, you were there. Yes, so it was beautiful. So we encourage everybody to come, and thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. That's September 6th.
Yes.
And what was that beginning time again?
7:45. Come early to get a seat. We encourage everybody to come to LaGrange and eat first, and then come to the concert. Thank you.
This will be the third time the Rawlings concert has sponsored the Louisville Orchestra or some aspect of it in Oldham County. The first time was under the stars, and are you going to set up the chairs in the same location we had the first time on the Rawlings Plaza? And it was just a overly delightful night. You couldn't have asked for a more enjoyable evening, and I know this will be as well. And we'll all pray for good weather. We've had all this good weather, so let's have it last a little longer. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Karen, you may want to know this, on the header band of the Courier Journal this morning has this advertised. It's the very top.
Well,
You
thank
know, a lot of
you.
people don't get the courier, I still do, but,
Thank you, Magistrate Dye. There is also a full-page ad in the Oldham Era this week.
yeah, I've not looked at Oldham area yet. but,
No,
yeah.
okay, there you go. I think that was on yesterday's Courier, to be sure, and you're gonna see three more
May
of
have
them
been
come up.
yesterday's,
Yes, Yesterday, Monday, and I believe next Thursday.
So get there early if you're gonna get a seat.
Right, thank you.
Karen,
Karen.
Yes.
you could probably increase your attendance if you served ice cream.
You know, I would totally agree with you, Magistrate Harrison, because that would be my first choice. However, I'd bring a bottle of water. We're not serving. We want you to eat around in LaGrange, okay? We want to bring some business here to our wonderful businesses, okay? Any other questions?
Thank you,
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Judge Vogel. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment here? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment and go on to the first item on the agenda. Next item, that is, a bid opening. We have a dump truck that we're expecting some bids for, and this would be a dump truck with snowplow and spreader capabilities, two of them, two trucks.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think this is bid price per truck or price for two trucks?
How much?
Well, I guess, okay, I'll read it a little closer, I missed it. So, okay, first bid here is from Ewell Truck Sales, $135,393.04 per unit with snowplow equipment. The next bid is from Kentucky Truck Sales, and, let's see here, it says, huh? Well, there aren't any numbers written on here. Where is it? Am I missing it? Right, this bid is $127,999 per unit. The next bid from Wayne Supply, $145,929 per unit. Kentucky Freightliner Trucks, $260,781. I'm assuming that I think that's, doesn't say per unit. Does he think it's 2 units? Sounds like it could be 2. Okay. I'm going to turn this over to our county treasurer, Melissa Horn, and she will work with Wes Williams from our road department and examine those. We thank all bidders for participating in our bid and for their interest in Oldham County. The next item on the agenda has to do with our regularly scheduled bills, and okay.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded, the bills for the last 2 weeks be paid. Are there any questions about that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Now we'll go into our public hearing, and the reason for our special meeting today is that each year we're given some information by the Department of Local Government that is used to set the tax rate for the year. We normally have 45 days from the date we receive the information, but no later than August 30th to set the date. For a reason that we can't explain, we didn't get the paperwork in time to make the public announcement and have the public hearing any sooner than today, the last day to have this opportunity. So I'll read resolution number 010830-19. Whereas property values have increased in Oldham County, and whereas the application of the existing rate of 8.7 cents per $100 to the current year's assessment of a property subject to tax excluding new property and personal property will produce more revenue than the previous year. And whereas the state local finance officer has determined that the rate that would produce approximately the same amount of revenue as the previous year, known as the compensating tax rate, is 8.5 cents per hundred. And whereas Oldham County Fiscal Court desires to keep the current tax rate of 8.7 cents. Now therefore it be resolved that the Oldham County Fiscal Court adopts the tax rate for 2019 of 8.7 cents per $100 of valuation, adopts it on the 30th day of August 2019. So since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open the floor now. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition to the proposed resolution? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment and go on to the members of the fiscal court. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So our tax rate will stay the same for the coming year, for the coming tax season. Now I'm going to go on to the first reading of revisions to the comprehensive zoning ordinance. This was, we adopted changes in the zoning ordinance at the last two meetings back, and so now it's a recommendation we make some changes. So I'll let Jim Urban go through and explain that.
Judge Vogel, good afternoon, magistrates. Sheila, Jim Urban, Director of Planning and Development Services for the county. This is the first reading of KOC 19-920-11, and it's an ordinance repealing and replacing certain sections of the ordinance 19-920-549 relating to the Oldham County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. And as Judge Vogel just mentioned, this is KOC 19-920-549 was just approved by you all in the August 6th meeting, and it's been the recommendation of some members of fiscal court that we reconsider a couple of things. The items are very simple and easy. You have them in your packet. Basically, it is the removal of section 260460. It would relate to conditional use standards for AG1 district on barrel warehouses. We're going to strike that whole section completely. And then in division 250320 for barrel warehouses, we're going to add, if you remember, we created an AG2 zoning classification, and there is no zoning of any property in Oldham County zoned AG2. We would require that anybody that was wanting to do barrel warehouses shall only be permitted when associated with a distillery operation located on the same tract of land which is open for tours a minimum of 4 days per week, with 1 day being on a weekend. And then the maximum size of the warehouse cannot exceed the following, and we have an equation, which is the number of barrels per warehouse equals the annual production times 5 years. And then we're just simply changing some of the numbers in the numbering system of that section of the ordinance. And then under section 290150, signs along scenic corridors, item number C, we're simply going to strike the word "or" in front of banners and then add it behind banners and say "or wall signs." So those are the only revisions to the ordinance that you just passed that we're going to recommend. There will be a public hearing and we'll advertise it for the September 17th fiscal court meeting, where we'll have, again, the second reading and public hearing on this ordinance.
Okay. Does any magistrate have a question for Mr. Urban?
Yes,
Mr.
Judge.
Harrison.
Jim, just real briefly, for the record, could you explain the origin of this? I mean, we went to a lot of trouble reviewing, and I know this SRC did and the Planning Commission, what the court approved earlier. Now, all of a sudden, we're coming back and changing what we just approved. I mean, the ink's not even dry yet.
Well, I think I did when I said that there were members of fiscal court that recommended some changes. And so we reconsidered, the staff of the planning office reconsidered the ordinance and in these sections.
But it only went back to staff, nothing went back to the SRC where it originated?
Well, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so these revisions to the ordinance, proposed revisions, will be posted on the website, and when we have our first meeting in October, or will we cover this in September? September 17th? All right. We'll take this up again September 17th, and if there are any questions about it at that time, it'll be reviewed. I think they got the drift of the main thing here is to require the barrel warehouses to be an AG2 and to be linked to a distillery that's open at least 4 days a week, including a weekend day. And the size of the barrel warehouse would be limited to 5 years of production, essentially. Okay. Next item on the agenda here has to do with the bond release for Rocket Man Storage. County Engineer Jim Silliman.
Good afternoon. As the judge said, this is for Rocket Man Storage, and this is the Rocket Man Storage site on Commerce Parkway. There are two others still under construction, so not to be confused with those. This was a multi-phase project, so there were two bonds. The total amount of those bonds is $32,600. Construction is substantially complete, and with regard to erosion control, the site is stable. So we're recommending release of these bonds and ask the court vote on whether that's appropriate.
Okay. Is there a motion to release these bonds?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. All right, moved and seconded that the erosion control bonds for Rocket Man, sections 1 and 2 and 3, these amounts, of $32,600 be released. Any discussion on that?
Judge, I have a question. It's really not that germane to this, but it is to Rocket Man. It appears that their fencing along Commerce Parkway may have gotten quite a bit outside their property. Is that going to be an issue with us later when we try to expand the parkway?
We would address that at that time.
All right.
Hearing no further questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is a highway safety grant. I'll ask Chief Greg Smith to review that, please.
Hi, Judge. This is the same grant we get every year from the Highway Safety. It's, this year's $48,700, same as was last year. Purpose of the grant is to have increased nighttime seatbelt enforcement, DUI enforcement, and then participate in the special events they have during the year, like Tick and Click It and the Speed Weeks. There's no cost to the county on this, so it's free money.
All right, motion that we apply for this.
So moved.
Actually, it's two, for you to sign it. The grant's been approved.
Yeah, right.
The judge
Me to
said.
sign it, right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Regarding, we mentioned the word safety and police and on the highway and so forth. I think the last I saw from your staff is that we've issued about more than 1,900 citations on the interstate so far this year. We're keeping the pressure up, and I spoke to the governor about it this morning, and we want to create as much safety there as we can. So I appreciate those officers being out there and hope they are out there more.
Actually, part of this federal grant money we use for that enforcement.
Okay. Okay.
Use that. Okay.
Great.
But I'll pass that along to the
Okay.
officers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Next item on the agenda has to do with personnel actions. Ms. Schaaf.
Good afternoon. Before you today are two personnel actions. We have a part-time animal control officer, Matt Furnish. He has resigned effective the 25th. Do you want me just to go through all of them, or the two? I'm sorry.
All right, is there a motion to accept the resignation of Matt Furnish? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And we have a new hire at the road department, Randall Kelly, as equipment operator 1 at $13.50 an hour, effective on the 3rd, September 3rd.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
That's all that I have.
That's it.
That
Thank
third one
you.
didn't work out. Thank you.
All right. And, are you
Maintenance
ready?
is scratched?
Pardon?
Maintenance is scratched?
Yes, sir. The individual who was going to be hired for maintenance notified us yesterday or today that he was taking another position. So, yeah, I'm all in favor of full employment. I think it's great, but it does actually keep pressure on employers. People are constantly looking for jobs, and sometimes if they find one that is a little bit more rewarding, in the short term, they jump for it. So we're going to review our salary schedules. We have to, because we're having, a certain amount of challenge hiring new people. And it's just the way it is. You have to be competitive or a little bit better. So we'll take a look at it. Were we ready for that dump truck award? Did you have it, Magistrate Greenwell?
Judge, we are not going to award today. We would like to bring this before the road committee
Okay.
in a month, and then we'll have a recommendation.
All right.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
I got a question. Mr. Greenwell, are you all, you all buy trucks every so often. Are you still trying to stay with a specific brand and model because of
If we do favor a brand or a model, it's because that's what the bulk of the fleet is, and
Yeah.
it just makes it so much easier when working on them, and then also when ordering parts. If you can just order one part, that'll fit 11 different trucks.
Right.
But
So this
that only-
was the same brand and model that you had?
Right.
Okay.
But that only works up to a certain point until the price gets better, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, I don't think anybody would like to make any additional comments, public comment here?
Sheila, would you put on the overhead, please? Judge, I'm sorry I wasn't prepared to do this at the first public comment, but one of the things, the planning office is always really busy on doing things like updating. KRS 100 says that every 5 years we're to update our comprehensive plan. So our next job is to take a look at the comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2014. And so what I wanted to do was show you that we're scheduling 3 public meetings to get input in September. The September 17th, it'll be at the South Oldham Fire Station. September 18th, which is a Wednesday, at LaGrange Fire Station. And the following week on September 26th at the North Oldham High School. And I think that actually was changed to the North Oldham, or we at the high school. So it is at the high school. We're just trying to find locations. So these are meant to be early public meetings where we begin to get input. The comprehensive plan is a look at the 20-year future of Oldham County, and we're required to have public meetings, so this will be the first in the series. So I will come back on the 17th and also at public comment, put these dates up.
Magistrate Harrison.
Jim, at the 2 meetings ago, when we considered the changes to the zoning ordinance, there were a couple of comments that referenced the comp plan, and we call the zoning ordinance the comprehensive zoning.
Ordinance.
It's not the same as this comprehensive plan.
That's correct. And we really need to get rid of that comprehensive zoning ordinance. It doesn't have to say that. So when we finish with the zoning ordinance, we'll take the name out when we reformat the whole document. The comprehensive plan is a long-range plan. It has goals and objectives and plan elements that look again at the long-range future of Oldham County. And in it, in particular, we have a future land use map, which we added back in 2014 for the first time in a number of years. So again, good point. It is not this comprehensive zoning ordinance. It's the comprehensive plan, long-range plan.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll see if there's any closing comments from our magistrates. I'm going to start with the magistrate who's just back from the Masters tournament with his green jacket here. Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. First, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. And you don't want to be one of those statistics that we read about on Tuesday morning for doing something actually stupid out there. I'd like to thank Jim Urban since he's here, and I am a general contractor, and I deal a lot with Jefferson County. I'll go ahead and say that. Pulling a permit in Oldham County is very easy to do, kind of straightforward. I've been pulling a permit now for Scheller's Fitness and Cycling for 8 months, 8 months in Jefferson County. And it is absolutely atrocious what we have to deal with this city of Louisville metro government. I'll put that on record.
Seems like the solution to that's pretty simple.
It should be.
Just come across the county line. And,
It should be, absolutely. And I'd like to say that the bravura contract that we pulled today will be taken up in the Building and Maintenance Committee and the Parks Committee meeting on September the 17th, and we should come back to the court with a recommendation for that.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you very much.
Magistrate Tice.
I don't have anything other than we're going to have a beautiful weekend, so let's everybody be safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. The closure of the bridge, repair of the bridge, reconstruction of the bridge on Highway 1488, Oregon Creek Road, announced last time it's going to be scheduled for September 16th. They've now delayed that until sometime in October, but we don't have a date yet. So, and I don't have any military celebration days between now and our next meeting, but the date of our next meeting is U.S. Air Force Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. Was there a reason given for delaying the bridge closure?
No,
Okay.
they just notified us it was delayed, so.
Okay. Every day as a school bus driver, I get a chance to interact and see the school resource officers and the school security officers act in their capacities with the schools and the kids and everybody. And it is just a joy to watch this happen because those kids are high-fiving those school security officers and, just interacting with them and everything like that. And I cannot think but that this would be a positive outcome in the long run.
Do you have one more thing?
Let me add to this. You probably didn't see it. On one of the news stations, I believe it's the one that starts with WDRB or something like that, at noon, they had a cell phone clip of a little girl getting off a bus and starting to walk across the street when a car at probably 45 or 50 miles an hour blew right on by, never hit the brakes, never slowed down. The mother was across the street and yelled at the little girl, and she stopped before she came out behind the bus. But it was interesting, I noticed they do not have that bar that comes out across the front of the bus to keep the kids from walking until the bus driver tells them to go. When we have that on all our buses, don't we?
All of our buses, except some that are extremely old.
Yeah.
But on 95% of our buses, we
Well,
do.
it pointed out that little bar could be a lifesaver.
And was this in Jefferson County or Oldham County?
I don't recall.
Okay.
It just happened so quick. I don't
Okay.
recall the jurisdiction.
Magistrate Hounds.
Yes, thanks, Judge. In our last meeting, Mr. Rankin came up and spoke about a mapping issue and spoke to the Director of OCD, Mr. Keel, earlier, and he said they're working on it and hopes to have a plan in place very soon to get that issue taken care of. Several of the magistrates attended the Governor's Local Issue Conference the past couple of days. Good conference. We got some good information out of it. Mitch Bonhart was the keynote speaker. As a UK fan, he did a great job. I'll just say that. And also, Ms. Lane Chow and Governor Bevin spoke, and Secretary Chow did a great job also. But one of the comments that was echoed several times was everybody needs to make sure that they get out and vote. We probably heard that half a dozen times over the past couple of days, and party not speaking towards a party, but just get out and vote. Also, I got a phone call from a constituent thanking us for taking care of a drainage issue. I'd like to thank Wes Williams and his crew for taking care of the drainage issue. It's one that we've been trying to get to and get fixed for a while. Also, in the conference we were at, we talked about the census. Very important time coming up, and I know Deputy Judge Nuss is working on that. I know there's some jobs available for people if you'd like to work for the census. But just be sure that when you get that document, when you get the information to fill it out, that you do fill it out. It's very key to not only data mining, but also it also has a financial impact on Oldham County. So please make sure when you get that, that you do fill it out. Thank you.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Thank you, Judge. Nothing today.
Magistrate Dye.
Yeah, it's the same old song here today. We got a holiday coming up. Everybody's going to be doing their, having a good time on the last probably sunny day of the year. But I know the police chief back there, and he'd be more than happy if you all would keep your junk in your trunk, because they really don't want to come out to your house and make that report. He's got much more pressing items, right, Chief? So, I mean, protect what's yours, and you'll have a great weekend. Thank you.
Magistrate Logston. All right. Everybody said it. Magistrate
I had one thing to add to Magistrate Hounds' comments. The census, they told us that the information would be held for 72 years confidential in the census, so you don't have to be afraid about what you put on it. It cannot be released, and it won't be used to prosecute you in any way.
I hope not.
72 years.
To amplify that, it probably has, the census data probably has more security than the gold at Fort Knox. Nobody can get into it. Nobody.
Judge, on that census, Kevin, what is the number, what is that number that we lose on every person, or everyone loses?
Roughly 3,000.
He's got that number on the end of his tongue. I know that better than that.
I think it was roughly $10,000 a year for
Not that
10
high.
years.
It's all over.
Yeah, the George Washington University, we had our last complete count committee, and by the way, while I'm here, I'll invite all the magistrates to our next complete count committee, which is Wednesday, September 11th at 1 o'clock. So I really ask for you all to come because we need your help, because there are certain segments of populations that are in your districts that don't feel comfortable because of the reasons with the federal laws, and they're afraid that they may be reported somewhere, and this is totally anonymous. It's very secure. One database doesn't talk to the other, so we really need your help to get the word out about the census, so I encourage you to attend that meeting. But George Washington, to answer your question, Magistrate, George Washington University did a study, and they released that study, and the numbers vary. It's anywhere from, and it's not actual dollars that we lose out on, but it's actual dollars that are unaccounted for because you don't do the census. It's anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000 per person is what they attribute that amount to. If you don't fill the census out, that's how much money that could have come into the state that doesn't. And then also I want to remind you that the most underpopulated population count on the census is children between birth and 5 years old. Those folks, if those kids aren't counted this year in the census, there's not an opportunity to count them again for another 10 years, and by that time, they're already in middle and high school. And the schools haven't expected them, the schools haven't budgeted for them, so it's really, there's millions of reasons, actually 675 million reasons to complete your census data, but to answer your question specifically, it's between 1 and 3,000.
But 1 to 3,000, that's a year to the next census, correct?
Yes.
So if people understand that that's money that if you do this, it will slow down tax rates, at least my thinking. So, I mean, it just makes sense.
For schools and roads and infrastructure and congressional districts, all the above, it's very important people fill out their census. And there's all kinds of ways to do it this year. There's online for the first time ever. Online, you can call it in, you can still mail it in. And if you don't do any of those three by Derby weekend, they're going to be coming and knocking on your door. So you have about a month to do it one of those other three ways, or they're going to come knock on your door.
The formal process actually starts on April Fool's Day, right?
April 1st is the census
The
day.
government figured that out, April Fool. But you'll be seeing people going around knocking on doors starting this month. I believe some already have.
They're in the field. They're not actually knocking on doors at this time. They're in the field validating addresses. We about a year and a half ago, our GIS matched our records with the census records to see, to make sure we were all had the same data. We just got the review back on that actually this week, and we were very close on our review. We only have a couple changes to make. But now the census people are out there putting eyes on what we told them was there to make sure it is actually there. And then also new construction starts. Anybody who has a building permit that wasn't included in the data we did a year ago will be sending that information into the census too to get these new building permits counted as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.